Okay, so welcome everyone. This is the final session of the night, and it's going to be one of the most informative as well. So we're going to talk about how to be prepared for anything. So I know that's a very broad and open-ended statement, but we have our panelists here. We have Sharon Ross, we have Dexter Peggins, we have Hakeem Isler, and we have Phil Smith on the call, and myself. And we'll be fielding some questions from the Q&A section. But I do have one question to ask as we go forward. And before we get started, again, just know that this session is being recorded. So just sit back, learn, get inspired, and pay close attention to the information that's going to be forthcoming soon. So one of the messages that I have for you is just a quick reminder. Just let me pull it up real quick. Okay, great. All right. So we will be providing you additional information at nest.naaga.co. Again, we're just starting to build out that site, so be patient and look for the information that's going to be forthcoming on all of the topics that we discussed today. And then I'm very, very excited. We couldn't do it this year because of COVID, but guess what? Next year it's going to be off the chain, right? We have our national convention that's coming. That's going to be August 20th through the 22nd of 2021. Right? So we'll be celebrating 5+ years of being a national organization. The National African American Gun Association it was founded by Philip Smith, and we're going to take the legacy of the Black tradition of arms and move it forward into the future. So we're looking forward for everyone to get together in one space. It's going to be an outstanding event. You'll probably hear from a lot of the speakers that are on this call, but we're going to give us a chance to fellowship, a chance to meet each other, a chance for chapters to connect, and for us to really get on the same page as an organization as we move on to the future. So mark it on your calendars, call out well from work, right? It's August 20th through the 22nd of 2021, and it's going to be right here in Atlanta, Georgia. So look out for the information that's coming soon. All right, so the question that I have for the panel is, so what do the family on this call, what do we do, right? What can we do, and how should we be prepared, right, for any situation, right? So I know it's very broad, but let's go around the horn and give some insight into what members can do. So Hakeem, I'll start with you since we ended with you in the last session.
So probably the thing that I would say to be prepared is figure out what's happening in your neck of the woods, right? So we need to know what our biggest threats are. What's the crime threat? What's the natural disaster threat? Am I in a flood zone? All those different aspects. Then once I can see where the world is without, I need to start looking at within. And I can start building a good understanding of what needs to happen around me. What's going to be the most important right now, right here, right now. If it's hurricane season, then I need to start getting things that are going to keep my power on, and so on and so forth. If crime is a big thing in the area, obviously I need to have my tactics up, but then I also need to work on my physicality and make sure that based on my physical attributes, I'm able to perform and do what I need to do if I need to defend myself. So it's always kind of this external and then look internal. And then, use what I've learned and gathered from my intel on the external to help me really understand where to start, what's a good starting point, and then look at where I'm at realistically, not where I think I'm at, right. But where I really am. And that means putting into effect what you think is true. So if you think you can walk a mile without getting tired, walk a mile and check it out. If you think that you can do 10 push-ups, try. Don't just say, right. I know I can do 10 push-ups. You got to actually do that, and see if it's a reality.
All right, so I'll pose that same question to Sharon Ross, since you're on the top square there. So so what do our family out here need to do to prepare or be prepared for any situation that comes up?
Currently, we are in the coronavirus pandemic, so we need to prepare with the situation that we're in currently. So I would suggest that everyone go out and think about the upcoming winter. So we've got a double whammy going on. We've got the COVID and we've got winter. Here in Portland, in the Pacific Northwest, it gets pretty cold as it does in other areas. So start thinking about purchasing, cough medicines, maybe extra blankets, thermometer, anything that coincides with a winter sickness. Go out and buy those products now before winter hits, because when winter hits, people aren't going to be going out there for toilet paper. They're going to be looking for cough medicine, and things like that. So those things are going to run out. So start getting them now when you can, before the, populace realizes that everybody needs some cold medicine.
Awesome, awesome. So Dexter, I'm going to flip the question a little bit. So as far as priority is concerned, what do you see are the priorities that our members should focus on?
Definitely seeking out that training. Right now, the training, find out what's available in your area as far as free training. If not, then once again, start seeking it out. Feel free to contact myself. I can either point you in the right direction where you might find some resources available in your area. But training is critical, and also acquiring the equipment. Right now, it's like a good time, like Sharon was saying, where there's a lot of stuff still available. But there's a lot of folks preparing for that, that big day. So you're starting to find a lot of stuff that you can normally find, like medical equipment, supplies, and stuff. It's starting to get real. Those supply levels are starting to decrease. And the further we go along, you'll find out, like, even just regular gauze and dressing and bandages and stuff like that are going to become harder and harder to find. So I would say definitely start getting your kits, start putting your equipment together now while the stuff is still available, especially out there on Amazon and some of the other sources. Start getting that stuff before, be just like toilet tissue. You're looking for it, you can't find it. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So Phil, from your perspective as the national president, what do you feel our membership in our community needs to do to get prepared and stay prepared?
I think it's kind of twofold for me, from my perspective. I think networking is very, very important. The more people you talk to, the more perspectives you get, the better advice or the better decisions you can make as a group. So I would try to go out and talk to as many people as I can that know or don't know about, shelter in place, what kind of food products I should buy, where I should go, where I shouldn't go. Me being a novice relative to some of the other members on the panel, I'm really going to do my due diligence and really do some of my research by calling and talking to as many folks as I can, and trying to expand my inner circle of folks that are, privy to what's going on as it relates to prepping and being a survivalist. So I think networking and communication is key.
Yeah, and as far as for me, I would say get involved. So you may not be a member of NAAGA, or you may not be a member, or you may be a member of NAAGA and not associated with a chapter. Seek out a chapter that's in your local area and get involved. If there are no programs that support what we're talking about here, then be the person to spearhead that. Right, involvement is key. We get in as we get in what we get out what we put in, right? So if we put fuel to the fire, we'll get heat, right? So you can't just sit back and get information. You also have to be someone who contributes in some way as well. So getting involved allows you to, like Phil said, connect with others and see where there's similarities, see where there's gaps. And as you form teams, you'll see where your strengths are and where others' weaknesses are, and it can be very complementary. So that involvement, I think, is key. We can't be sidelined. We've got to be actually in the game and on the field. As far as go ahead. Definitely.
Just real quickly, and don't be afraid to say I don't know, or
Absolutely.
I'm nervous, or I'm apprehensive. This is something new to me. I think when you are very, very open to criticism in a good way, I think you put yourself in a better position, and your family in a better position, in your community, to say, hey, I'm new to this. This is something that we've never really handled before, but I know it's necessary. So I'm going to go whatever and do whatever I have to do to learn about it. So take your ego, push it to the side, and be open to hearing advice from folks like we have on our panel.
No doubt.
I
Definitely.
agree. I'm sure my Hakeem and myself have met those individuals that you've talked about, and it's rewarding to know that, you know, people are strong enough and will put their ego aside and come to another person and say, hey, can you teach me? So it's rewarding for me, and I'm sure it's rewarding for Hakeem also to have people approach us in asking those questions. But don't be ashamed to ask, like Phil said, you know, ask the question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have some D's that I actually have 5 of them, but the first 3 are kind of what we're talking about right now, which is discuss and decide. So one of the ways that I say build a good team is first discuss with people what's happening as far as what they see out there, what ideas, what concepts that they're thinking about. Don't, like Phil said, don't be afraid to discuss or have conversations, to converse with people on these different topics. Then after that, you're going to decide what you think is important for you. You're going to decide maybe if you want to join with a team at this particular person because you guys are like-minded. And then you're going to dedicate some time in these days or time in your time and your money to actually go out there and actually find the resources like Doc was talking about, or Dexter, sorry, was talking about, with actually making the commitment to actually do something, to get the training, to go out to the store and buy the material. So I'm going to discuss, right? And then I'm going to decide, I'm going to discuss with people. I'm going to decide on what it is that I'm going to do. And then I'm going to dedicate, you know, time and resources to actually following through what I've now decided on based on all my discussions. And that's just really a simple way to kind of just, you know, put that out there, and so people can say, hey, I'm in discuss mode right now. I haven't decided on anything. You know, I'm talking to this person, I'm talking to that person, and then, okay, now I've made the decision. These are the things that are important to me. And now I have to dedicate some time to actually, and on my schedule, some money or resources to actually going out there and getting this knowledge and doing the things that I actually decided on. So
Right. Yeah. In the you know, when we talk about firearms training and situational awareness, right, it reminds me of the OODA loop, right?
yeah.
OODA, right? So you orient yourself, right? You observe, then you orient yourself, decide the action that you're going to take, and then take the action, right? So that loop is continuous. It never, you know, it never ends. And you know, we do it all the time in our daily lives, but we just don't apply it to situations of preparedness, right? For disasters or other critical situations. But we do it all the time. We observe our situation, we orient ourselves, you know, we make a plan, right? And then we take action on that plan. So I think that that's very a good suggestion to make. So what news or other sources do you rely on for the best information? And Sharon, I'll have you go first.
You said what resources or
What resources? What,
information?
yeah, news, resources. Where could,
Honestly, I don't listen to any local news channels. I will like YouTube, Al Jazeera, and there's a Chinese channel that that I listen to where I get the truth about what's going on. There's a couple of other sites, but I don't remember what they are at the moment, sorry. But yeah, I go outside of the US to find the accurate information, you know, and if I can just say, you know, back into the last conversation, is another thing is we need to start thinking about purchasing property. So with that said, we look, when you're looking for information, you know, really dissect what is the truth and what is not. There's a lot of stuff out there that I've even fallen for that come out to be not true. So you really have to look for the right website to find the information. And you have to determine that on your own to, you know, to make sure that that's there. So And unfortunately, you have to go outside of the U.S. to find the accurate information about what's going on in the U.S.
Okay. All right. So
Well,
I
I
know. Yes, go
oh,
ahead,
go ahead.
Hakeem. No,
Oh,
it's on you.
I was gonna say kind of the cat's out the bag. I used to didn't say anything, but now it's like all over everything. So my job in the Army was psychological operations, which is essentially psychological warfare. So what Sharon is saying is very accurate in the sense that it's become so easy now to buy like a Photoshop or some, Canva or any of these other things and like create all these products and all these different illusions basically to kind of get people to stare left or right or up or down or whatever the case may be. So I think I applaud Sharon for being able to take step outside of the bubble and really, look at it from a very different perspective of how does the rest of the world, how are they looking at it or what's going on? Because there are all these spins being put on things and and we need to be very careful about how that, because there's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of really big plots, I would say. It's like watching a very, very long movie, right? And so there's like,
Bad one.
it's like a drama or suspense, it's like, and it's very long. So after the first 3 hours, I'm falling asleep, waking up, I don't know what happened.
Like
And
whatever.
it's all these ups and downs in the plot. And it's very tough to figure it out. And so even for me, because these guys are playing a bigger long game than even what I did for them when I was in the military. So
Right.
so I would say just be careful with how you get your information. And probably the best bet is to really just try to be ready for the things that you deem are important based on what you know about survival or what you know about emergency preparedness.
Correct.
So kind of removing what people are telling you and just or what the television's telling you and just try to be ready
Yeah.
to that you can on your abilities. And I think
Right.
Sharon mentioned something about purchasing land. I must have missed that portion, but
Yeah, I think it's important that everyone, that we, especially people of color, purchase land. I've had an awesome opportunity to purchase 150 acres over the last 8 years. And, when you can find 20 acres for $20,000, owner carry contract for less than $200, you need to just go for that. If you can find them, sometimes you can find these good deals out there. And when you find them, my advice to you is to research, and do some more research to make sure that that property is clean and clear before you purchase. But we need to go out there and buy some more property.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have a
Yeah.
question for Dexter. So many times, our families look at us kind of sideways when we talk about being prepared, and we talk about gaining firearm skills or putting together a go bag, and they're like, man, you're crazy, right? What do we say to them to get them prepared? Because when push comes to shove, and that critical event does occur, right, we can't be the only ones, right,
Right.
rendering aid, right? So what do we do to help them along that journey?
I think you really have to have a sit down and have a serious discussion with your family members and your loved ones, and help them to understand the nature of as to why it is you're doing what you're doing. And especially when we look at ourselves, being providers, but we're also protectors. And the bottom line is, when something goes bad, that's not the time to start getting ready, for that event. You need to be pretty much prepared for that event. And we know events happen all the time. They come in all different shapes, sizes, and types, being natural, man-made, you name it. So preparedness is, when I have that discussion with the people that I care about, I let them know, this is part of my responsibility, making sure that I'm looking out for you. But part of looking out for you is making sure you're able to, certain things you need to be able to do yourself as well. Because what happens if I'm the one that gets hurt? Who's providing care to me? So this is why, I stress the importance of, you know, once again, having those conversations, you know, and you know, it's real world, you know. I don't sugarcoat it, you know. I don't try to make it feel softer or sweeter than what it ain't. You know, I just say this is the world we currently live in, and you know, we need to be prepared, you know, for things that could happen. So that's how I try to approach that.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% on that. And you know, right now, since we're in this coronavirus global pandemic, you know, it's not too late. We still have time. We are fortunate to have this type of pandemic that still allows us to go out and collect our supplies. So it's not too late right now. You know, the prepper and the survival movement, they say, you know, don't wait till the disaster happens to prepare because it just might be it'll be too late. Well, you know, we might want to rethink that thought because here we are in the coronavirus and we're able to still go out and get supplies. So go get more supplies.
And I would want to say this as well. You know, people are starting to wake up. But right now, this is the time to get it, but those days are numbered because the more people start realizing what's to come, that's when you'll start to see more of the people, you know, the hoarding, the buying, the mass purchasing of things. So we create our own shortages. So like right now, you know, while we still got a lot of folks that's still out there sleeping, this is the time to get those things while they're available. Because I would probably guess around this time next month, or especially as we're getting closer into the fall and the election, you're going to see a whole lot of shortages with a whole lot of stuff. And medical and all, you know, some of the things we talked about this evening, those are just going to be some of them.
Right.
But it's definitely, we're headed in that direction.
So in a virtually cashless society, right? So how should we be preparing fiscally, right? Um, if that's what you're saying, is money going to be, you know, the commodity, or is bartering going to be the commodity? What do you see as being useful?
Well, you already
Buy
see.
silver and gold.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ladies first. Go
All
ahead.
right. Buy silver and gold if you can afford. I mean, I think gold is what at $1,900. I can't afford that, but I can afford silver. You know, put some money aside and start saving up some money just to buy silver. What I have done in the past is give myself like a 200 budget, and every 2 months, every month, go and buy some silver and start stockpiling that. And then too, you were saying about the bartering situation, you know, go out and buy, you know, the things that you don't do. You may not drink, but those little liquor bottles, boy, they'll make somebody happy during crap hits the fan.
The little
You
mini.
know, go out and buy some cigarettes, a carton of cigarettes, a case of cigarettes, you know, use that as bartering because those are going to be gold during the time that those people who have that habit are not going to be, not going to be accessible to them. So on the bartering part, think outside the box of what you're doing to survive and collecting to survive, and think about the aspects of what somebody else would need, you know, that you can barter with instead of having barter food and ammunition, guns, or whatever.
Very good point. Yeah, very good point.
I'm going to add to that just a little bit really quickly. And one of the things that we have to be mindful of as well is that stockpiling is good, but you have to be able to defend that, right? And you have to be able to either, and so you have to have a hide spot or a hide site where these things are. You have to be able to know that you can take some of those with you. So one of the things that I would like to encourage and invite people to really think about is to also think about the idea of skill sets, right? People bartered skill sets.
Yeah.
You know, for years, and that's something I can just put on. I don't have to put it anywhere. It's in my brain. I just walk somewhere with it, and you know, and say, this is what I can do for you for this, you know. And that way, if I have to bug out or if I have to leave my facility or my place, and I don't have any more caches stashed anywhere, that's another thing that we could talk about is having some caches stashed everywhere. Like a little squirrel, you know, is being able to take my skill set with me. So, hey, you need some protection. Hey, you need somebody to lift something or do something. You know, what can I help you with? in this particular aspect, where I can get what I need, and then also somebody else can get what they need, but then I can also minimize the amount of things that I'm tethered to, So that's going to be very important.
Good point.
Well, in the grand scheme of it.
Yep, very good point. Yep, good point. Yeah, you think about that often when you talk about preparing a go bag or a bug out bag, or being mobile, right? How much do you take? Can you carry it all? Do I need a truck? I mean, it's just, there's so many things to consider, and that's a good point of being able to barter skill sets, so you don't have to carry things that you don't need, but you can still get access to them. And it's also a good, a good rationale for having a network, as Phil said earlier, of those that you can tap into. So the more organized and the more you communicate, the easier it is for you to be able to get the things you need to support your lifestyle. Yep, and especially those minis. Yep, you may need that. You may need those minis.
Can I say that when you are packing up your gear, start thinking about dehydrated or freeze-dried products. Those are ounces compared to pounds, and they're it can be 4 to 6 meals compared to that one can. Okay, so think about purchasing freeze-dried foods and learning how to dehydrate your own foods, and then start putting those away. You can buy freeze-dried foods at, I'm going to tagline, you can buy freeze-dried food at thrivelife.com under Afrovivalist and be able to start accumulating that. And because when I started, I started with Thrive Life and started purchasing them from them. And I put a budget aside, $200 a month to go get those. And now I have those and made them into individual food packs for each team member and family member to put in their bags. So instead of carrying around those cans, they've got, maybe a 1 pound total of a week's long worth of food. Okay, so think about that when it comes to packing your bags. Think lightly. The only thing that should be really heavy in your pack is water.
Okay, awesome, great. So I'll give Phil the last word to just wrap everything up and take us out for the evening. We do appreciate you, Phil. We appreciate your vision and your insight in formulating this awesome organization. The National African American Gun Association would not have been here without you, and so we definitely do appreciate that. So we're going to give you the last word, and you can take us out with whatever thoughts that you have on your mind.
Sure. And I have a few. First of all, thank you to all the panel members. Thank you, Colin, for coming in and doing a great job as a host and moderator. Thank you, Akeem. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Sharon. What I'm seeing here is what I really believe in. We're looking inward into our own community to get our own solutions. I kind of call it the Tyler Perry business model. When Tyler Perry started his business, he didn't go out to the West Coast. He didn't run to Hollywood. He looked here in Atlanta within his own community to build out his empire. And we can do the same thing with our community. We have the expertise. We have the knowledge. We just have to start contacting folks who used to be in the Army, and they have information and skill sets that we can utilize as a medic, as a survivalist. We can reach out to Sharon. We can reach out to Akeem, reach out to Doc. These can be our new heroes. And if we just really focus on what we can do as a group, instead of always running down the street to somebody else who doesn't necessarily have our best interests at heart, we can be a lot better off as a community. So I believe in looking inward, and I think we're starting to take that step tonight. So thank all of you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yep,
and thank everyone for attending our sessions, being patient as well. And we hope to provide you guys with all the information that was here in a recorded fashion, and then also look forward for more information as we build out our nest.naaga.co website. So again, thank you for joining. Thank you all the panelists, and we'll see you guys soon.